Hey everyone, it's Amy Dugan here, and today I want to talk to you about how to become worthy of success and how you can really start adding value to others. So, the first thing I want to talk to you about, when it comes to really becoming worthy of success, is the more you learn, the more you earn. So, every time you read a book, every time you learn new information, every time you take a course, a good book or good course, right? Then you're able to add more value to others. So it helps with your own evolution, but the more you evolve yourself, the more you can lift up everything else around you. So really developing yourself and your knowledge and your own personal growth should be your number one priority if you want to advance in life and become successful and, be able to help others. So that's what's going to make you worthy of success, is evolving. And the way you're going to evolve is by having new experiences, learning new information. So that's really one of the main things. But then it's not only about learning new information, because when you're learning new information, you're evolving, you're able to add more value to others. But if you're coming from a place in your business of what can I get instead of what can I give, it's going to be really challenging to become successful and have a sustainable business. So when you're building a business and you're thinking of what does my ideal client want, or what does my ideal customer want and need, you can't be coming from a place of how much money do I want to make? What do I want from this? You know what I mean? You need to come from a place of what can I give? What do they want? How can I help them? How can I add value to them? How can I better understand my ideal client? So really come from a place of what can I give instead of what can I get, and your whole entire paradigm in your business will change and your life will change. And as a effect from doing that, what's going to end up happening is you're going to become more and more successful, and you're going to have a better quality of life because you're adding value to others. And so really that leads me into my next point, which is, in order to serve others and in order to come from a place of what can I give, you need to remove your ego and your pride when you're making decisions and when you're interacting with the market and with people, right? So really your pride and your ego can ruin you and can ruin your business, and it can ruin your greater mission and your greater vision. And I'll give you some examples from history. For example, Alexander the Great, one of his best friend, and I think he was also, in his army, but it was his best friend. He got drunk one day and they got in a huge fight and he killed him. Okay, this is a very extreme example, but you get my point. He murdered his best friend out of ego and pride and anger. And then immediately after he killed his best friend, he just spiraled into this depression. He was so depressed. He couldn't stop crying. He couldn't function. He's like, oh my God, what have I done? Why? Because he made a decision from his ego instead of from his greater vision. Obviously, we're not running around killing people and our friends, but that's just an example. Another example from history where pride and ego really got in the way of making wise decisions is Odysseus in the Odyssey, the book The Odyssey. Odysseus is trying to escape a Cyclops, okay? And Odysseus is known as a wise man. And ego is really the obstacle that prevents Odysseus from consistently making wise decisions. So when he's trying to escape the Cyclops, he tells the Cyclops that his name is nobody. His name is nobody. And that's what his parents call him. That's what his friends call him, which was really smart, because then when Odysseus goes to stab the eye of the Cyclops so he can escape, the Cyclops starts yelling out, oh, I'm in pain. And then the other Cyclopses come and they say, oh, who hurt you? Who did this to you? He says, nobody did. So they're like, oh, well, if nobody did, then, go pray to Poseidon. We can't help you. So that was a wise decision, right, for Odysseus to get him and his men away from the Cyclops. But then his ego comes and ruins it. So here's why. Here's what happens. He ends up pulling another trick, another maneuver that was so wise, so cunning. He's able to get back to the sea and escape the Cyclops. But then Odysseus feels so proud of his, amazing heroic decision that he yells back at the Cyclops his true name, his full name. I am Odysseus, son of blah, 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 the great Odysseus, okay? That was going to lead to his demise. If he would have just shut up his ego, gotten rid of his personal ego, and continued with the wise move, he would be fine and would have been able to return back to Ithaca right after that. But no, the Cyclops tells Poseidon, it's this man who did this to me. And then Poseidon prolongs Odysseus' journey back to Ithaca for years and years with all these terrible obstacles. Why this mistake happened? Odysseus let his ego get in the way of his greater vision and his greater mission. So yes, these are dramatic examples, but they're really good to parallel with how our ego can ruin decisions for us now. So anyways, that leads me on to the next point, which is clearly your pride and ego can get in the way of good decisions, right? So how can you remove your pride and ego and serve the moment in front of you without, this kind of junk and things inside you that might get in the way? So how you do this is essentially every time you're interacting with somebody, or anytime you're going to make a decision, anytime, any moment is presented in front of you, release your personal and think to yourself, how can I lift this moment? How can I make this moment better in front of me? How can I contribute to this moment? And if you feel like your personal anger or your personal desires or your personal jealousy or whatever you feel, just release it, let it go. Like, just don't get caught up in it and just focus on the present moment. Focus on the moment in front of you. Whether let's say you're talking to a client and they get upset with you and they're like, oh my gosh, I wasn't able to do this. You did this, you were late, you did X, Y, Z. Instead of letting that hit your ego and getting upset at them, really listen to them and think, okay, there's something here. What they're telling me, there's something here. How can I improve this moment? How can I help them, with this problem that they're having without my personal anger or ego, to that criticism get in the way? So every time a situation like this happens, just relax, let the emotion that you're having pass through instead of reacting to them, and then come from a clean place of really solving the problem in front of you instead of thinking, oh my God, this is ruining me, this is me. It has nothing to do with you, right? Whatever's happening in your life, it really doesn't have anything to do with you. It has to do with that thing. So if you come from a place of this has nothing to do with me, how can I better solve this problem? How can I add value? How can I help? Everything around you will be lifted. Everything around you will become better. You're going to be able to solve problems. You're going to be able to come up with solutions, because it's about coming up with solutions, not about making yourself feel better or making yourself get what you want, if that makes sense. So that's all for today on what I want to say about like how to really become worthy of success. And I hope that helps give you some perspective on some ways you can look at it, and also some action steps you can take towards adding more value to others and evolving into a higher version of yourself by really letting go of your ego and serving the moment in front of you better and better and helping more people. So that's it. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.